I'm nervous this isn't working. I just want to make sure I'm not spending the next 20 minutes. I have done that before. I believe in preparedness, absolutely. I also believe in spontaneity. So, I am in the middle of a conversation with somebody that I did not anticipate and would normally be stressful for me. Today's podcast is not brought to you by Sierra Nevada's Little Things, nor is it brought to you by Betty's Eddie's Elderberry. I don't get any money from these things. This is my first podcast. I'm going to post this one in the middle. So what that means is I am planning on... I have a whole host of material that I've recorded prior, and I've been gun-shy about releasing any of it. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and these things are, like, impossible to open. I decided that the best thing that I could do is to release something in the middle, because I'm going to go back and edit out or re-record or whatever, previous stuff, and then I'm going to obviously move forward. And I like the idea. I was in the bathroom and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. Just release this one and get better from here. So anyways, I'm in the middle of a conversation with this guy. 14 strokes. I'm being a bit of a tool to him. That's how I'm starting this podcast. I forgot there's a microphone right here. I'm normally used to leaning forward to speak. So I'm being a bit of a tool to him. I recently just said, 14 strokes, my bad muscle, emoji, thumbs up. Which is a douchey thing to do. What I'm doing is douchey. Now, I believe in trichotomies, which is a dichotomy with a third thing. So everyone knows what a dichotomy is. And for those of you who do not, a dichotomy is something and then something else that is diametrically opposed to it. Black, white, up, down, right, wrong, down, up, positive, negative, existence, emptiness. So... normally when you're being, like, when you're big daddying somebody or daddying somebody or you're being douchey to somebody, I gotta work on my posture. This is new to me. Being, like, rude, pushy, abrasive, that's disrespectful in all regards. And I won't say that I'm not being disrespectful. I want to start things off with... I cannot get this bag open for the life of me. This child-proof lock is insane. So I don't want to forget where I'm going with this. Seems like a reasonable difference given the amount of experience each has. Absolutely. 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 I think you would improve when by taking on the mindset of a beginner onto the course. Mark almost beat me, and he's in his 50s and only been That's astounding. I try to learn from him. Point being, humble is my goal on the course, and I learn fastest that way. So, normally being Big Daddy or a bit of a douche to somebody. Now, I don't need either of these things. It's like midnight and I don't need a beer nor an edible. But I like the idea that I'm I guess, implying that this is loose. And I don't think this is a good idea. I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's a bit late to have an edible. I've had a few drinks tonight. And I had mushrooms on Monday, and it's only been a couple days. But it isn't to, like, show off or anything. It's more so to this is not good footage. I'll edit this out. Or maybe I won't. I keep looking at this sideways. It says nothing is written in stone, and it's nothing written in stone. I love this thing. The permeability of conversation, the fluidness. I think what I'm going to practice is my best to reel in the thread, but just go along with whatever I'm thinking about. I think the benefits of that is that everybody has the ability to talk or communicate in some way. The idea of tying in one's thought into making an overall point is an admirable goal. The rationale for that is that's a heavy one. There's a lot to hit there. In short points, people listening to you is usually people's goal when they talk, or almost always their goal when someone talks. If you talk, you want people to listen. And when people listen, you're hoping that they are elevated by your language. And so a larger idea is that if multiple things that you say all tie together for a singular or series of smaller points to be made, because then you're worth listening to. And overall, it raises your stock, and people are ultimately looking about survival. Is this a do as I say, not as I do type situation? I'm having a conversation with a cop who's a new person to disc golf that I've been talking to for about a month. He posted on one of the forums, and I offered to help him. We went back and forth. He mentioned the only plastic that I don't really throw, which is Prodigy. Nothing against them. I just don't know their stuff. And anybody that knows disc golf and knows Prodigy knows that they are different than... They're like Vibram was, where they're in their own pocket and they have their own diehards, and I just don't know Prodigy, and he's all Prodigy. So, anywho, I'm having a conversation as we're talking to him because I'd been talking to him for about a month. He's only been playing for a couple of years. And I've been playing on and off since 2003. It's now 2021, so whatever that math works out to, 18 years. But not a ton. The point is not about to flex about how long I've been playing, even though it just got all up in there. I'm 37 at the current filming of this, and my time has long since sailed about the idea of becoming the Pro Tour champ. And anytime you do any sort of physical endeavor in your mind, I think that you're trying to make yourself reach to a higher goal. So you look to the highest goal and the highest prize, and you try to aim for that. And so if I'm not aiming for the highest goal because my time has since sailed, what am I aiming to do? And I want to give back, and I want to help teach. And the difficulty with that is that there are a lot of personalities to navigate, and yeah, just a lot. So, hold on, let me read this. I have opened up some sort of thing. Is this a do as I say, not as I do type situation? One moment reiterating your better score than mine, then stating humbleness is a goal just sounds like extreme virtue signaling. I really think we are just on extremely different frequencies. I'm genuinely sorry I ruffled the feathers that I did. I didn't think you perceived the situation as such. Next, best of luck to you. I'm sure I'll see you on the course. Sounds good, man. Have fun. Sounds good, man. Have fun. I said back to him, sounds good, man. Have fun. And wisdom is something I could talk to for an hour about, and remind me if this ever makes the light of day and I have not circled back around on wisdom. Not only could I talk for an hour about wisdom, not only could I build an entire series on wisdom, not only could I teach a college level course on wisdom. Wisdom is the single most important goal of the remainder of my life. Remind me to circle back around on wisdom. I already have a itinerary. This is difficult. And I think that part of what makes people interesting to listen to is talking to their own flaws. Last week I played a good round of disc golf, and at the start I went out of my way to say, I'm nervous, and it helped me. And so I'm trying to do a better job of communicating my feelings. In a way that would be more relatable, I guess. This is difficult for me. Everything and every thought and every story unpacks a bunch more, and I want to stay as tight. I want to run a tight set. I want to get a tight 5, and I respect comedians tremendously, and one of the things they do is they build a tight 5, a tight 15, and then they build a headlining set. So I want to get this to a point where I can build a tight 5. So can I do this in 5 minutes? First, let me make sure it's framed. Yeah, that's pretty good. Can I do this in 5 minutes? I don't know. I don't know. And part of my thought process is I don't know if this is interesting or not. I don't know if... I watch the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's one of my definite inspirations because of the way he so casually can have a conversation amongst a bunch of intoxicants. It's not about the intoxicants, it's about lowering the barrier to entry for openness. So I'm going to do my best to unpack each one of these. However, I very much believe that time... remind me to circle back around on time as well. I could do a lifetime on wisdom and then a second lifetime on time. I believe that time can constrict and ultimately water down your entire experience. So I'm not going to be crunched by time. I'm going to start right now, and I might only use the information or the footage starting right now. I'm just stating this ahead of time, maybe for myself to later on and go back and watch this video and I collect this footage years in the future as a reminder. I'm saying take your time and then earn your time. Starting now. My glasses are foggy. While I'm cleaning them off, I'm also going to drop the sing-songiness of my voice. That draws people in. And at this point, I don't need to draw anybody in. I'm so confident on my material that I can arrogantly stand by what I say. Probably at all times. It's hard to say that you would stand by what you'd say when you're blackout drunk because you don't remember it and you know it's you at your worst. And earlier this week I took mushrooms and then I woke up talking. Like I was talking in my sleep and woke up. I said something in a dream and then realized I was saying it out loud. And it actually pertained to my fiance or something about the ring. I don't know. It was jarring. Steps to greatness. Let me use a different color. Let's do red. Steps to greatness. Those who cannot do, teach. My grandfather was not a boxer. I'm pretty sure he had never done boxing, at least nothing significant. From Brockton, Massachusetts, one of, I believe, 12? 14? It might be the Petties. It's 9, 12, or 14. I think the Petties have 14. The Columbos, I think, had 12 or maybe 9. 9 or 12. Siblings. That's a lot. And the point is, my grandfather was the trainer for Rocky Marciano, one of the only heavyweight champs to retire undefeated. He's one of the only people to retire undefeated. I know Floyd has done it, and one or two others. I think Willie Pep retired undefeated. Rocky has a bunch of accolades to his name, and I think about that often, that my grandfather helped him and pushed him in an area where knocking people out wasn't his thing. Teaching runs in my family. Thinking things through, doing the best to relay them in a way that is conducive to listening, I think is something that maybe runs in the Colombo side of the family pretty well. We're storytellers, we're Italians. I think Italians have a habit for telling stories, telling with their hands, being very vocal, serving food, creating an atmosphere where the best storyteller wins, in a sense, because they can captivate an audience the longest, and then when someone has given you attention, you have opportunity, whether to guide, teach, take advantage of, whatever the situation is. Captivation is currency. So steps to greatness, steps to do whatever you want to do. I consider my life already great. I'm not doing this, I shouldn't call it podcast. This isn't a podcast because there's video and I'm not making this. I should say this now in the first one. I am not making this with the intention of hearing audio only. If you listen to audio only, that's totally cool. I just wanted to be clear that I am not making these with the intent of audio only. The video component is important because I think that part of the pacing and hopefully the lack of editing and using this as one long take will cut better when you see the visuals. If it's just dead air, it's harder to understand what a pause like this just was. But if you saw the video, you understood that I was looking for an answer as I started the sentence. All right, so steps to greatness. And I did this before I came in here because I know I can talk about these at great length, but I'm going to do my best to be concise, and so I'm going to be careful with time. So how do I write this sideways? What if I just do a clock? That's not a clock unless I do... How do you do a 2 sideways? Oh my God. And then 6 up. All right, so there's my clock. So be careful with time. All right. Number 1, run towards fear. And I'm going to point this to myself so that if I start to get lost, I can remember what I'm talking about. Okay. Run towards fear. Why do you run towards fear? I know this is such boring content. If it was 2 people in a room sitting across from each other, and let's say you, the audience member, whoever's watching this, asked this question, just out of the blue, we're sitting here, and I'm going to start talking to you like you're in the room. So, I have a pop socket that's a face. And I'm going to look at the face from now on and pretend it is my audience member. It's going to make my eyes a little right of center. Deal with it. Run towards fear. So if I had imagined you had asked me, just out of the blue, why would you run towards fear? When you ask a question and the person you ask it to pauses a long time, just imagine that. You ask a question to another person across the room. Visualize that. And you feel good about yourself. You don't know what they're about to say. It fills you with a feeling of satisfaction that you've expanded somebody's mind temporarily and they're searching for the answer. So what makes this difficult and challenging is that I'm thinking about run towards fear, and I think about it and I go, wow, this is so much, and I want to take my time and be careful with my answer and hit it in a 1-sentence line. And maybe what I'm really realizing is that all of these things I will hit with a small enough answer that I can write it on the board. I'm going to delete this 12 to 6 time thing because now I'm realizing, actually, I'm going to move it. Be concise. Oh, boy, that's good help. I'm going to shrink that. I'm so bad with this. And now I'm just drawing. Oh, boy, this is good. Fiddage. Fiddage? I play Quidditch. Fiddage. Spinach. Finish. Okay. So I'm going to write my answers next to each thing. Run towards fear, challenge ideas, let go, what is great.